We have started with a DC motor, and we have seen the general constructions of a DC motor, and we have seen that DC motor consists of two parts. One is yoke and second one is a rotor. So yoke is a fixed device where you can use nut and bolt to fix that yoke, and inside that yoke we have armature and armature winding, and we place the winding inside that armature, and there is another part which is called a rotor, and you have to connect that rotor with some rings, okay, or we can call them slip rings, and we have to connect those slip rings with brushes and commutators. So the working principle behind this particular DC motor we have seen, as you can see in this slide also. So there are two poles. One pole is north pole and second pole is south pole. And inside these two poles, we have placed one conductor. Okay. So according to this working principle of a DC motor, if current carrying conductor is placed inside the magnetic field, mechanical force is experienced on the conductor, and the direction of which is given by the flaming left hand rule. So you can see in this particular figure, we have two poles, and the magnetic fields will flow from north pole to the south pole, and inside this magnetic field we have placed one conductor, and this conductor carrying some current, that is I. Okay. And if you place some current carrying conductor inside the magnetic field, it experiences a mechanical force. Okay. So when it experiences a mechanical force, rotation will be observed over there. Okay. So how you will observe the rotation? With the help of a flaming left hand rule, we can measure, or we can find out the direction of the rotation. So right here you can see the direction of rotation is in clockwise direction. In upward direction we represent the motion. Okay. Index finger will represent the magnetic line, and this second finger will represent the current and its effect. Initially you place the magnet uh, like this, and inside this you place the conductor, and when you pass some current across this particular conductor, so magnetic lines will also flow from this outer portion of the conductor, and these magnetic forces in a resultant will flow like this. Okay. So you will observe there is a rotation in this particular conductor, and this conductor will start rotating. Okay. So first one is a lap binding, and second one we can see right here, wave winding. So how you can make these wave winding and lap binding? You can say these are the groups where you have to place the winding. Okay. Winding is placed in between these groups, and these windings have to provide to the poles. Okay. So right here we provide these two windings to the north pole, and we connect these north pole to the south pole, and this process will follows. Okay. Again we connect this winding to the north pole, then we connect this winding to the south pole. Okay. So this is in the form of wave, so that's why we can call it as a wave winding. And second winding is a lap winding, where you have to place these two windings from these two different slots with the north pole, and again you have to combine these two bindings, and they will be connected to the next winding. Okay, so it will make a parallel path right here. It will make a parallel path right here. Okay, so this is the starting end of the one next coil, and this is the initiating end of the coil. Okay, and these are the commutator where you have to place the windings, and these are the coils which you have to connect with the north and south pole. Okay, and in the last session we have seen that we have to derive the torque speed equations. So how you can derive this torque speed equations for DC motor. So using the formula, torque is directly proportional to the flux, okay, and applied current. Okay, so you will represent this proportionality constant with Pz divided by 2 pi a. Okay, and you represent this torque is directly proportional to armature current multiplied by the main flux. So this is the main equation for the torque. So you remember this particular equation. What is torque? Torque is directly proportional to the armature current multiplied by the mean flux. Okay, so how you can show this particular torque in case of a conductor? So same principle right here. We have a north pole and a south pole. Okay, inside this we place some conducting material. Okay, so how you represent the torque? So you can see this upward direction will represent the torque. Okay, this direction will represent the current, and this direction will represent the magnetic field, and we can also call it as a flux. Okay, so in this manner you can represent torque, magnetic flux, and the current value. Okay, so how you can represent it? You can represent it like this. This is a torque, this is a magnetic flux, and this is your current. And then you can see the torque, armature current characteristics of a DC shunt motor. So how you can represent it? You know very well the torque will be directly proportional to the flux multiplied by the current flowing through the armature. For a constant value of the supply voltage is also a constant, and hence the flux is also constant. So you can represent this flux with the proportionality constant. So flux is directly proportional to the current flowing through that particular portion. Okay, and you represent this torque across armature is directly proportional to the current across the armature. So if current is increasing, your torque is also increasing. So it will give you the linear response, as you can see in this particular graph. uh, on the x-axis you will see the armature current is shown, on the y-axis torque is shown. So if you increase the current in the x-axis, you will see torque is also increasing. So it will give you the linear response right here. So torque armature current curve of a DC motor will give you the linear response in case of this shunt motor. So why it is linear? Because you consider flux is the constant. Okay, and that's why your torque is directly proportional to the current value. So we represent flux with the proportionality constant. Okay, then speed, armature current characteristics of DC shunt motor. So here we have to see the relationship between speed and armature current. So what is the speed? Speed you have calculated previously. Speed is directly proportional to the back EMF, that is EB. So you have put the value of back EMF, that is voltage V minus IA into RA divided by flux. Okay, so flux is the constant, as we have seen in case of shunt motor. then how you can represent the speed characteristics? So speed will be directly proportional to V minus Ia into Ra. So as the load increase, the armature current also increasing, and hence drop also increases. So you can see the relationship right here. This is the current across the output side, and this is the current across the armature side. Okay, and here is the speed. Okay, you can represent it with the n. So this speed will decrease if you increase these particular value. Okay, so this Ia current will decrease if you increase the speed. Okay, or it is a vice versa statement also. Clear, everyone? So now speed torque characteristics of a DC shunt motor is shown like torque is directly proportional to phi into Ia. You know that flux is constant, so that's why we represented this flux with the proportionality constant, this Ta, that is torque across the armature, is directly proportional to Ia, that is current across the armature. And you again put this value in the speed. So how you will calculate the speed? N is directly proportional to back EMF divided by the flux. So flux is constant, so that's why this speed is directly proportional to B minus I into Ra. From these two equations, we can conclude that the speed of the torque in both has a linear relationship. So this particular torque has a linear response in both the cases. Okay. So next we have to see the torque armature current characteristics of a DC motor. So in the case of the series motor, the series field winding is carrying the entire armature current, and so the flux produced is proportional to the armature current. So similar equation we are using, torque is directly proportional to flux multiplied the armature current, where flux is the constant value. That's why we replace this value with the proportionality constant. So your Ta will be directly proportional to phi, that is phi is a constant, and then you represent it by I square. Okay, good. So next is speed armature current characteristics of DC motors. So speed armature current relationship we have to draw. So right here, you know the speed is directly proportional to the back EMF divided by the flux. You have to put the value of the back EMF. So in case of this back EMF is V minus Ia into Ra minus Ia into Rsc. So here we are using this armature current also. Okay, and the armature secondary winding also, and armature primary winding also. So you represent this voltage V minus Ia into Ra minus Ia into Rsc, and you solve this. We can consider this as a proportionality constant. So your speed is inversely proportional to the current. Hence, in the speed equation EV, the V and can be assumed constant, so speed of the equation will be reduced. So you can see this is the graph of speed armature current characteristics of a DC motor. On x-axis you will see the armature current, whereas on y-axis you will see the speed. And when you increase the armature current, okay, uh, when you increase the armature current or decrease this particular graph right here. Okay, so similar operation we have used right here. Torque will be directly proportional to the armature current square, while this other parameters are constant. Okay, hence we can write these equations with the notation as speed is directly proportional to 1 upon under root t. Okay, so where t represent the torque, and thus the torque increases with the increase in the load, and the speed is also decreasing. Okay, so load will increase and the speed will decrease. This DC motor into different parts. Okay, so let's start with the first one. First one is a separately excited DC motor. Second one is called shunt motor. Third one we call as series motor, and fourth one we can call it as compound motor. Okay, so let's understand first which is separately excited DC motor. So as the name suggests, separately excited. So we have to use two different separate winding. Okay. So first winding is the primary winding, whereas the second one is the secondary winding. Okay. So this, let's suppose that this is the winding, and this winding is to be placed with the supply, DC supply you are providing right here, and you have to connect this with the primary winding. This is negative, and this one is positive. This is the rheostat. IF is the field current flowing through this particular winding, and in the secondary side we have a motor. Okay, and that motor contains some current, that is IL, which is a low. So IA is the armature current, and this EV is your back EMF, and RA is the resistance. Okay. So what is the equation for this particular separately excited motor? What is the equation for the back EMF? How you will calculate this back EMF? So total voltage V we are providing right here, minus across this armature we have some potential difference. So what is the potential difference across the armature? V is equal to IR. So IA into RA is the potential difference. Then we are using here voltages. Okay, so we use the equation like 2 negative of VB. Okay, so this equation is becoming very popular in case of separately excited DC motors, where you have to use two separate motor windings and we have to excite them. Okay, shunt motor is the second type. How you will connect the shunt motor? As the name suggests, shunt. Okay, shunt means in parallel. Okay, so shunt means in parallel. So we have to use this particular coil, and then in parallel we have to use the motor, and then you have to take the output right here. Okay, so this is the output right here, which is V. Okay, so across the load IL current is flowing across the armature. Okay, some IA current will flow. So IA current is flowing, and across this primary side we have the ISH. Okay, and the shunt field. And how you will calculate the current across this shunt value? ISH is equal to B is equal to IR. So I is equal to B upon R. So what is the R value? R is the shunt value. RSH represents shunt value. What is the current across the armature? So total current, that is the load current IL minus the current across the this secondary side. Okay. So what is the back EMF EB? Back EMF is the total voltage minus the current across the resistor IA into RA, and negative of 2 BB. After this we have a series motor. And how you will represent this series motor? As the name suggests, series. So you have to connect motor in series with the binding. Okay, so this is the binding. So this motor is connected in series. Okay, this is the voltage which is parallel to the motor, and this is the inductor bi and bi dash, and this is your yoke, which is EV upon RA. Okay, how you will calculate the current across this? Let's suppose that IL is the load current, and here IA is the armature current, and these values are in ampere. So what is the load current? IL is equal to, quickly, it is equal to IA, because this is a series circuit. So in a series circuit, all the current remains same. So I secondary current is also same to the load current to the armature current. And what will be EMF? EMF would be total voltage V minus IA into RA plus RSC and minus 2 PV.